Dadi Major antebe yuwa Vice President ningashi umwezi w'umwebembezi w'ihanga kandi hantebe ya Prime Minister w'ihanga ya rekaho Right Honorable Robin Nabanza kutushuma umba Cabinet Ministers abandi mwebembezi w'ihanga ya hantebe ya First Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Community Affairs mwebembezi w'ihanga yatorana Right Honorable Rebecca Rtwara Kadaga kandi second Deputy Prime Minister muringo ngogumwe Deputy Leader of Government Business omishenjero y'ihanga yatorana Honorable Dr. Crispus Walter Chionga kandi ahantebe ya third Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister without portfolio yatorana Honorable Rukia Nakadama ahantebe ningashi wa Minister bibi wegese hamwe n'ibimzano Honorable Museveni Janet Kataha yaguma ministry niemwe wa Minister Office of the President yatorana Honorable Babirie Mire Babaranda nwabera ryo mu ntebe niemwe kandi wa Minister Office of the President Security hagumaho Honorable Jim Muhwezi wa Minister Office of the President in charge of Science, Technology and Innovation azaho Engineer Asimwe Jonad guna nakugambire uri Central Executive Committee ikigombe kikuru ekibine cha National Resistance Movement wa Vice Chairman w'ikibina wa Brengero Izoba uguno musya ahantebeje kandi wa Minister wa Kampala Capital City and Metropolitan Affairs agumaho Honorable Minsa Kabanda ahantebe wa Minister Office of the Prime Minister General Duties azaho Honorable Engineer Hilary Onek Government Chief Whip kokuna nagambire mwembezo w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Justine Kasure Rumumba ahantebe ya Minister Office of the Prime Minister Relief Disaster Preparedness and Refugees ningashi eshonga zebigwerezi yatorana Honorable Sam Engora wa Minister wa bweshonga z'abantu bakaramoja mwembezo w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Loki John Baptist ashonga za Ministry of Agriculture Animal Industry and Fisheries ningashi Minister wenshonga z'ebyamatungo ebyo kujuba hamwe n'ebindi ebiri muri inejo yatorana Honorable Frank Tumwebaze kandi Attorney General ningashi umuhabuzi wa government ahabyamateka mwembezo w'ihanga yahinduramu mu office ejo yatamu Honorable Sam Mayanja ningiramu nobere uri umbyitaka ka State Minister kandi Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs mwembezo w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Chiriwa Chwanka nuwabeirari Attorney General government itira mabega y'2021 Minister of Energy and Mineral Development mwembezo w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Dr. Musenero Monica Musanza ogwabeira kuriya bya technology Minister of Finance Planning and Economic Development mwembezo w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Henry Musasizi Minister of Foreign Affairs Ambassador Adonia Ayebare ubu aberari ambassador w'ihanga ya Uganda United States of America nuwe batorana wa Minister of Foreign Affairs Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development mwembezo w'ihanga yatorana Lieutenant General Henry Tumukunde Kakurugu ubu akatura Minister myaka yenyuma kunkubwa hata bwanyuma yo kuzomushegero y'ihanga mwembezo w'ihanga yamuherezo gundu mugisha Minister w'byamagara yatorana Honorable Dr. Chris Baryomunsi aberari mu Ministry of National Guidance Ministry ya Kanyabwenge niyabeirari ya muhubwa Minister w'byamagara Minister of Information Communications Technology and National Guidance Honorable Dr. Chris Baryomunsi aberarumu mwembezo w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Jane Ruth Acheng Ochero mbeni ya hindrobe kuriya ya mtoku obera yo ministry ya IT ya mtomi by'amagara obera yo by'amagara ya mta ya IT aba Minister wa Internal Affairs yatorana Honorable Professor Kamuntu Ephraim ogunawe nowe wakare konka ibirya biraryo mu PDM ningira kugwanyuma yo kugaruka mu ishenyero lihanga mu bezo ihanga ya Mutom Ministry ya Internal Affairs ebirerumo Honorable Kahindo Tafire, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs umembezo ihanga yarekamu Honorable Norbert Mau oberyo mu ntebe niyemwe kanda habwa Minister bw'ibyamataka umembezo ihanga yarekaho Honorable Judith Nabakoba n'uwaberari Ministry niyemwe aba Minister of Local Government ninga Minister wa Government zebyanga umembezo ihanga yatamu Honorable Baram Bargahara ogu aberari Minister umushogeza abana hansi ya Ministry of Gender konkato umembezo ihanga ya muta Ministry ebererimo Honorable Rafael Magezi mu government eriye HTire amabega Minister of Public Service yataho Zeno Katumba Wamara, Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, ningashi Ministry y'Uburamzi umuyobozi ihanga yarekaho Honorable Tom Butime ogunwabera yo Ministry niyemwe mu government eji ehweire kandi Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives umuyobozi ihanga yataho Honorable Sanjay Tana ningira ngo nomusya mu cabinet. Minister of Water and Environment umuyobozi ihanga yagereza Major General Kahinda Utafire nuwe yata ministry biyamwiha ministry y'endijo ya Internal Affairs yabire arum abantu ba minister ningashi abo wakwetsere Minister of State umuyobozi ihanga yatorana our Ministry of Works and Transport umuyobozi ihanga yagereza Honorable Byamukama aberariyo mu office ejo niyemwe konka aberariyo ka State Minister ebirimo Zeno Katumba Wamara twazo mba State Ministers umuyobozi ihanga yatorana Minister of State Office of the President Economic Monitoring yatorana Honorable Arum Sandra Santa, Minister of State Office of the President Ethics and Integrity ningashi ebyemtwarize hamwe n'emce umuyobozi ihanga yatorana Honorable Akero Rose. Office of the Vice President umuyobozi ihanga yatorana Minister of State Office of the Vice President Honorable Mtasingwa Diana Nankunda nuwe atum office ejo. Office of the Prime Minister, Minister of State Office of the Prime Minister Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees umuyobozi ihanga yatorana Honorable Liliana Bell kandi aberariyo Ministry niyemwe. Minister of State Office of the Prime Minister Northern Uganda ningashi Owenshonga z'amatemba gihanga umuyobozi ihanga yatorana Honorable Beatrice Akero. Minister of State Office of the President Office of the Prime Minister aba eshonga za Karamoja umuyobozi ihanga yagaramo Honorable Esther Anyakun Davinia can Minister of State Office of the Prime Minister aweshonga za Ruwero Triangle hamwe na neshonga za Ruwero umuyobozi ihanga yarekayo Honorable Aris Kaboyo n'uwaberariyo Ministry niyemwe mu government eiturigere kutera amabega. Minister of State Office of the President Office of the Prime Minister aweshonga za Bunyoro umuyobozi ihanga yatayo Honorable Grace Mary Mugasa ubu aroshota berariyo Ministry ya Public Service mu government ejehweire. Minister of State Office of the Prime Minister haweshonga za teso umuyobozi ihanga yatayo Honorable Dr. Ongalo Obote. Twaza hansi ya Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries ningashi Ministry y'obuhingi n'oburisa nangoteireho n'obujubi ba State Minister abo umuyobozi ihanga yatayo umuyobozi ihanga yatorana Honorable Desire Muhoza ka State Minister wa Agriculture. State Minister wa Animal Industry and Fisheries umuyobozi ihanga yatayo Honorable Rwamirama Bright kandi ogu n'uwabera yosereyo ahweshonga z'amatungo Animal Husbandry. Minister of State for Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries wiyatorana ahweshonga zo kujuba hamwe n'ebyenyanja umuyobozi ihanga yatayo Honorable Megade Robert Ndugwa. twaza Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs mwebezi w'ihanga aha ntebe ya Deputy Attorney General yarekaho Honorable Jackson Kafuzi kandi ugu nwaberarya mu ministry niyemwe mu government ye2021 Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs wa State Minister wa Defense mwebezi w'ihanga yatayo Honorable Achifeza Grace Ngabirano Honorable Achifeza Grace Ngabirano icyo kubasa kuyijuka ninga kunywanisana neki no kugira ngo office eji ikashtamwamu wa berori umyeshengero kazaha wa Kisoro atakarigire magaragesi umugezi Honorable Sara Mateke ugu numyeshengero kazaha wa Kisoro bamto ministry niyemwe nikiretaho akazara ko Minister of State Defense and Veteran Affairs wenshonga zabazuruineho mwembezi w'ihanga office ejo yagihereza Honorable Oreru Huda kandi utwaza hansi ya Ministry of East African Affairs mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Minister of State for East African Affairs Honorable Magode Ikuya twaza hansi ya Ministry y'Ubwegesi hamwe n'ebyemzano mwembezi w'ihanga wa Higher Education agumaho Honorable Miyingo John Chrysostom kandi twareba aha by'ubwegesi iby'amashomero agahansi n'ingashigete primary mwebezi w'ihanga yataho Honorable Phyllis Chemutai aha yahinduraho kandi twashuba hansi umbyemzano Honorable Peter Ogwang yahinduka icyo kureka ngo ministry ebyo wegese cyahinduka hansi ni ministry eje iri kureba ahashonga za primary niwe minister ubahindura wenga twaza aha wa Minister of Energy waza hansi ya Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development ningashi ministry ine obushoboza by'ubwiga by'umwitako mwihangomu ahashonga ya energy arho Honorable Okasai Sidronius Opolot kandi ahashonga ya minerals mwembezi w'ihanga yarekaho Honorable Fiona Nyamutoro twaza ministry y'ebyesente hamwe no kutekatekera ihanga utiriho n'entunguka ningashigete Ministry of Finance Planning and Economic Development mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Sisi Mulondo kubanuwe aba minister wa general duties of ministry kandi korukuza ahashonga ya planning agumaho Honorable Amos Rugorobi Minister of State for Finance Planning and Economic Development ahashonga ya privatization hamwe na investment ningashi eshonga zo kuhindura zo kutebekanisa ibintu bitandukanye abanyarwanda ningasha abantu buntu nangoteyireho nebyo kubiba sente mbembezi w'ihanga yataho Amina Mukarazi kubanwe yaba state minister bwenshongezo kandi twaza microfinance mwebezi w'ihanga yataho Honorable Shatsi Kutesa Musherere uguntu musya kandi noyijuka ngugu myaka iriye ehwire government ehwire 2021 akana ajwekera abantu abamawogora north na bwanyuma yeja yarekora bw'ibyakaruru kasemba buri mu kwetegerezaje Honorable Shatsi Musherere n'umusya mu cabinet Ministry of Foreign Affairs mwembezi w'ihanga wa Minister of State for Foreign Affairs International Affairs mwembezi w'ihanga yataho Honorable Calvin Echudo ugunawe no wasek kandi n'umusya mu Central Executive Committee ningashi iki kigombe cha NRM kikuru akakika ka NRM akarikuca mwishonga nkuru mukibina akagawahireyo Captain Mike Mukura ntebe ya Eastern Uganda n'umusya mu Central Executive Committee n'umusya mu cabinet Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Regional Affairs umwembezi w'ihanga yataho Honorable Chaine Haruna Kasoro ugwabiri ari muri area ayumwembezi w'ihanga yatam Honorable Shatsi Musherere kunka bamuhindura yagumu mu cabinet Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development ahawa Minister of State for Gender umwembezi w'ihanga yataho Honorable Kutesa Mary Kamuli kandi Minister of State for Gender, Labor and Social Development, Youth and Children Affairs umwembezi w'ihanga yataho Honorable Lakisa Mercy Faith jiniyeberemo Honorable Baramba Gahara kuturukugayoko twashuma tukaza aha Minister of State for Gender, Labor and Social Development konka urukwatwa hanshonga zibemirimo nangotereho n'ebyamakoro mwembezi w'ihanga yataho Honorable Simon Murongo. Minister of State Minister of State for Gender, Labour and Social Development awabantu abaino buremu ahambiri yabo mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Anifa Banjirana Kawoya kandi haba Minister of State njango gwabera ryo Minister of State for Gender, Labour and Social Development wabantu abaine uburemu ahambiri yabo mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Achan Joyce Okane kandi ahashonga z'abantu abakuzire mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Jacqueline Mbabazi. Ministry y'amagara Minister of State for Health General Duties Honorable Anifa Banjirana Kawoya oguniyo ministry yayo seremu kandi twaza primary health care mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Dr. Ayume Charles. Twashumo ministry y'ebyakanyabwenge mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Joyce Sebugwao ugunawe ayesoro by'ubutegetsi by'ihanga konkani ngirangu mwembezi w'ihanga yamutorana habwa information kan Honorable Alion Yok Odria gumwembezi w'ihanga yamutorana habwa national guidance ngirangu ugwaberari ntagamba munogo mu ishengero ry'ihanga kandi n'ikindi cyo kubasa kumwijikaho no kugira ngo numusya mu cabinet. Minister of Internal Affairs mwembezi w'ihanga Minister of State for Internal Affairs yatorana Dr. Lawrence Muganga witendekero rukuru miha omwe aba Vice Chancellor abamatendekero agahiguru mihango mutwaza Minister of Kampala City and Metropolitan Affairs State Minister mwembezi w'ihanga yagarra Honorable Kabuye Cyofato Gabye ogunwa wabera ryo ministry niemwe mu government ehweri. Twaza ministry y'amataka amaju hamwe no kutebekanisiza ndembo mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Passis na Muganza aba housing kandi twashuma tukaza ahashonga yo kutebekanisiza ndembo urban development hariho Honorable Margaret Muhanga Mugisa kandi twaza habyamataka State Minister w'ibyamataka mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Harriet Ntabazi. Twazo ministry ya government zebyanga mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Justin Namere nka State Minister wa government zebyanga uguno wa stock Ensya kandi nawe nomwe ahabantu abasya abo mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana mu cabinet n'umyeshengero kazi ahabwa Masaka City nuwa NRM kandi ningirango amani jagi yakoze ise nugugaretero mwembezi w'ihanga yamutora no ministry niye mutwazo ministry y'eby'uburambuzi hamwe na n'enyameishwa mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana State Minister wa Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities yatorana Honorable Nakawuki Suzani Nsambu. Twaza ministry y'eby'obushubuzi amakoro hamwe na n'ebigombe byabeterere ningashi gete Minister of Trade Industry and Cooperatives mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Tom Aza ka State Minister wa Cooperatives. Twaza ahashonga zebyamakoro ahansi ya Ministry ya Trade Industry and Cooperatives mwembezi w'ihanga yarekayo Honorable Bahati David. Minister of State for Trade Industry and Cooperatives mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Jeno Wilson Mbad. Twaza ministry y'ebyamezi amwe n'obuhangwa bwensi mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Beatrice Anywa nka Minister wa Environment, State Minister wa Environment kandi twaza ahashonga z'ebyamezi mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Aisha Sekindi. Twaza ministry y'ebyemirimo hamwe n'ebyengenda gete Works and Transport ahashonga z'ebyemirimo mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Mr. Siraji Musa Ali kandi ahashonga za transport mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana Honorable Julius Maganda Wandira. Nababo mwembezi w'ihanga yatorana beitu kukongereraho kake senior presidential advisors ningirangu ahabweshonga y'obwire tube tukomezaho abanda barukiraho makurago ntwija kongera kubakwereza kuko mba senior presidential advisors arimo Honorable Amson Obua ugu abera ari nyampara wa government Honorable Ruth Nankabirwa abera ari ministry ya energy ningashi ministry y'ebyobwega byo mwitaka kandi Honorable Francis Mwebesa abera ari minister wa trade and cooperatives kandi Honorable Evelyn Anite ayosere ari umuriya ya investment nibyo amakuru agarga kwijaho eshaheze reka mpamengo ibitekateko byawe ibyo biri notekateka ahashunga ya cabinet Ensya byagarukwamo kandi ko kuba waba disappointed ninga wa homatsko ibyo biri notekateka bitashikira nango teireho nano kugira ngo uwo biri notekateka unaza kwija kunkaba muta ministry eyo takutekateka muniyo nishasha naiwe beitu Honorable Kenneth Mona weyihwa ministry yatwarwa diplomat services ningashi kujwekera Uganda mahanga gandi koko mwebembezi wihanga arkwija kushobora ndyango nkirize kugareyo wa mugenzi wanje Dana kwakunda wenshonga yo gwiretendere amakuru agenshonga aguma abazyogo Diane.